Ay, 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 I'm all alive. If the point got to my head, say make I deny you. I go tell them, say lie. Don't be like, yeah. I fit spend all of my money on you. Spend a couple million on you. Give you love until you say don't do, yeah. Special type of feeling that I feel when I'm with you. Oh, the mommy, anytime where I deal with you. I want your heart and soul and your own body too. I can't let you go. I'm beginning to fall in love. I'm beginning to fall in love. I'm beginning to fall in love. This love no be ordinary thing. It's supposed to be one night fling. But now I know they catch feelings that they vex when I...
Good day, viewers. You are welcome to Success Fashion Academy. Today we'll be making this gown. It's a corset gown with a crinoline at the hand and a lace at the top. So these are the materials that we'll be needing for this project. Here we have a crinoline that will be used for the hand. Here we have the net that will be used, a cord net that will be used for the neck side, and here we have a velvet bias that will be used for the middle of the clothes, and here we have a corset top to craft out our corset. We also have our interfacing. This is the black one. In interfacing we have the white and the black, and we have a lining to lining the gown. So I'll start. The first thing I'll start with, I have my zip here also, and I have my office pin, my scissors, and my ruler, and my chalk. So the first thing I'll be starting with is the down part of the style. The down part is a straight down, so I'm going to be removing the down part first. So the hip of this person, these are our measurements. These are our measurements. The hip of the person is 46, the waist is 41, and the underbust is 35. And as we can see, the hip is the largest measurement here. So I'm going to be folding my fabric with the hips measurement. So here I have 11.5 at the hip measurement, and at the hip I'm going to add 2 inches seam allowance to the measurements. So I've already bent my fabric. My hip is 11.5 with 2 inches seam allowance. That is 13.5. So I have 14 inches here, so it will be okay for my hip. Mind you, I told you I use the bigger part of the measurement. So the length of the gown is 63 and the half length is 18. So I'm going to be deducting that 18 from the 63 for me to get the down part. So I'm going to be deducting it to get the down part. And if you look at the material here, when I remove it, it will not be enough for the length. So we are going to turn our fabric this way, because it has to be enough for the length. So sometimes when you check it and the length is not enough, you bend it in another form for it to be enough for what you are doing. So I'll fold it another way around because I don't want to be joining my cloth at the down. So minus 18 for the waistline, and I have length 63. So this is my length, and you use your ruler and rule it out. This is the length required, that is length 63, with your joining allowance to the upper part. You know, it's going to have a join at the upper part. This is it here. So our bending allowance at the down for us to turn the lining we are going to be using 4 inches. The reason why we are using 4 inches is for heat, for the lining not to be coming out. So this is my line here. This is our bending and this is our hemline. So the next thing we are going to do is to be putting our measurements. So the hip line of the person is 25. So the hip line plus half that I'm going to use to join, that's 25.5. So this is where I'm going to be placing my hip. That's why you need to measure your hip line. At the waist is 35. The under bust is 35. The normal waist is 41. That is 10.25. That is 10 1/4. That's it here. And your 2 inches seam allowance. At the hip side, the hip is 46. That is divided by 4. You have to divide it by 4 because our body parts are divided into 4. So the 46 is 11.5. That is 11.5. You mark it, and then you mark your seam allowance 2 inches. So at the down part is a straight fitted gown. So this 11.5 that is here at the hip side, when I want to measure at the down, because I want it to be a fitted gown and not too bogus at the down, I'm going to be removing 1.5 inches from my hip measurement to get my down part. 1.5 inches from here to get the down part. And if you are using 2 inches for your seam allowance at the hip, you are going to be using 1.5 here, because you don't need much allowance at the down. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be connecting it. That is 10 and 1.5. But mind you, at this down parts, especially this place, we don't used to come straight. You have to come a little bit outside, so that by the time you fold this one on it, it will relax well. So you are going to be connecting it from this down to the up to meet the hip. You can see the way I'm doing it, and to meet with the waist. If you have a curve ruler, you can use, but I always tell you that you should always use your free hand, so that in case you don't have a French cuff or you don't have a hip cuff, you can be able to cuff your dress very well. And if you see that this place, if you see that you still want to make it to be more slimmer, you can actually put your hand down. So this is the front panel, this is the waist, this is the hip, and this is the hemline, and this is the bending allowance. So I'm going to cut my front. So you are going to notch the hemline, so that by the time you want to use your lining to turn it, this is what we are going to be bending inside. So from here the lining will start to the up. So I'm through with the front panel. So I'm going to be cutting the back panel, and the back has a slit. It has a slit at the back, so you keep this one aside. And so this is the back panel now. This is the back panel, and I told you it's going to have a slit at the back. So I'll place the front panel. This is going to be the zipper side. I'm going to place the front panel on the back. This is it this way. So you check their length, it has to be on equal length. So you smoothen it. If you have an iron, you can iron it out for it not to fold in anywhere. So this is what we are going to be tracing out. We are going to be tracing it out on the back panel, the same way we cut the front. The only difference is it has a zipper at the back. So this is the middle that will be coming for the zip and for this back slits. I told you it's a pencil gown, so it needs to have a slit at the back. So you have to slit it to the down. So this is the back panel, and I'll cut. I open up this place. I'm through with the down parts now. So you can see I use the chalk to mark it so that you not go and put the right side on the wrong side. So you are going to notch your zip allowance here. So we are through with the front part now. So the next one is the corset part, the upper part. So now we are at the upper part. This place we are using a corset at the upper part with a net and a bishop collar. So we are going to cut this corset part now, and if you look at the corset, it has an opening in the middle. So this is my corset cup that I'm using size 40. So this is the corset cup I'm using. So now the next thing is I'm going to come to the fabric. So this middle, I'm going to create that my gap in the middle. I'm using 1 inch. So you measure it down to your length and you roll it. We are creating the corset now. I measure it down and I roll. So these are corset cup that you are using. You will place it at the tip. You can see I've straightened the edge of this cloth. If it's not straight, please, you have to use the ruler to straighten it. So I place the cup this way. If you look at the style, the cup was not placed straight, it was placed bending. That is the style. There are some that will be placed straight, but if you look at this, it was curved to the side. So you have to do it the same way it was done on the style. So this is how the cup is. It was not a straight one. Our normal corset is how, this is how we place it, but this style is going to bend this way. That's the style there. So the half length is 18 and the underbust is 15. So I'm going to take my tape rule this way because it's going to have a yoke at the upper part. So I'm going to take my tape rule to the underbust. That is 15. This is my underbust here. I'll mark it 15 inches. You have to create a line there. You know, that means the remaining will be for the yoke. So the half length is 19, and here I'm going to be adding 2 inches extra before we finish it. By the time you are through with the corset, you can now trim it out before joining it to the down parts. So you are going to measure it with your cup because we are using this cup. So you are going to measure it. So the bust there is 40. So that is 10 inches. You are starting your measurement from the edge here. You are starting it from here. That's 10 inches you mark. And your 2 inches seam allowance. So at the under bust is 35. That is 8 3/4. You mark the 8 3/4 and you mark your seam allowance. The first thing I'm doing is I'm putting my normal basic measurement. If I'm going to cut that or anything I want to do, I will add it at the side. So at the waistline, that is 41. But because this is a fitted gown, I'm going to snatch out of the waist measurement. So I'm going to be using 10. So this is 10, the normal waistline and the seam allowance. So I'm going to be connecting the 3 together with my ruler. So the next thing I'm going to do, you have to be careful with this thing, this cup. You have to be careful because that is what we are cutting out. So I'm going to be ruling it like this. I'm marking it. I want to draw the cup out. I want to draw out this cup. You can just do it first. If you try to press the cup, it will press the style. So you have to be wise in doing it. Be patient with it. So this is it. Then I remove my cup. Let's now look at the measurements without the cup. You can see this is 8 3/4. That means the cup is an addition measurement. So if you are doing a corset, you have to use the cup you are using, so that by the time you finish, it will not be excess. So this is it. So at this underbust, you are going to draw your line very well. You draw it well, and don't forget we bend it, so it's going to come down like this. If you see the neck of this tie, it comes down. So this is how it's going to be, because there is a yoke that enters here. So this is where it is. All these ones will be cut away, unlike the normal corset that is going to be cut from the hop. So I remove my corset cup. So I'm going to put my dart placement, and the nipple gap is 8.5. That is 4 1/4. With my joining 5/2 inch, that is 4 3/4. I'm going to mark. I'm going to mark it down. So when you mark it down, so that I'm using, I'm going to be removing one from this side, one from this side. Under the corset, I'm going to be removing one and one from this side, and I'll be connecting it together. So this is my dart. So how are we going to cut out this way? So this is what we are going to cut out, but I'm going to be adding this dart that you cut, that you mark here. It's not added to the allowance, so you have to add it. So what are we going to do next is, here we have 2 inches. I'm going to add it to the measurement straight up. So here also we are cutting away 2 inches. We have to return it. If you don't do that, it will really affect your measurement. By the time you finish sewing, you will see that the front part is shortened. So that's how we are going to do it. And this down, you can actually give it a little shape here, because it's not good for your dress to just look straight because of our side. So just give it a come up. You can come up by 1. You can see I'm using 1 inch. You can come up by 1. So when you want to cut your corset out, you are not going to cut on this line that you mark. You are going to come out by 1/2 inch, so that it, you know, if you come inside the same way you cut it, it's getting bigger. So you just have to come outside by 1/2 inch. So this is the way we are going to cut it. You can see the way I'm cutting it. You remove the dart. Please always be mindful of this side. It's not too good for it to go straight, unless it's a straight blouse. So you cut it out. So I'm going to be removing the dart. You can see it now. This is our corset pattern. It's a curved one, not the normal straight one that everybody does. This one is different. It's a curved one. If you look at it, it comes like this. It comes from up and comes down. So it's the yoke that is going to replace this place. So this is the front panel. We are through with the front panel. You mark the wrong side for you not to make mistakes. So by the time we want to join, this is where we are going to join. We are going to join this place before we cover our corsets and place it. So for the back panel, the first thing you are going to put is the zipper allowance. That is 2 inches from up to down. So the zipper allowance, you are placing your body. You are not going to cut the cup out the same way, but you are going to be cutting the back. So you straighten up this place. So you have to trace it out at the back too. What you just need for it at the back is the length, so that it will be equal on both sides. So the back, this is a straight one. I'm removing the front panel. This is a straight one. If you like that you want to put, if you like that you want to make the back of the neck a V, you can make it a V, you can make it a straight, any one you like. So I'm cutting the back panel. That's the hub. So I'm going to be creating my dart there. The dart is 4 3/4. That is 4 1/4 plus your joining. That is 4 3/4. So you are going to mark it. So this is what we are going to be cutting out. The armhole is going to be on the yoke. So you can see I'm placing it for me to get the exact place it will be, so that the shape can be on the back part too. So this is my back panel. I'm going to cut the darts and the zip allowance. We are going to cut it. Please always mark the wrong side. So for the corset cup cover, if you look at the cup, you are going to measure it. How to cover your cup, you are going to measure it like this. Here we have 9 1/4, and here we have 7 inches. So this 9 1/4 by 7 inches. So that's how we are going to cut our cup cover. We are going to cut it on fold. So this 9 1/4 divided by 2, that is 4 3/4 and a line. So you are going to be measuring it. You are adding 1 inch extra on both sides, so it will be 5 3/4. Let's say 6 on both sides. That is 12. This is it. This is 12 on both sides. So I'm going to be folding it into 2 again. So I'll remove this excess. I'm going to be folding it into 2. So my length is length 7. You measure the length of the cup because the length varies. Length 7.5. At 7.5, I'm going to be putting 1 inch here, 1 inch here. That is 9.5. It needs to have an excess. You can't cut it as the actual measurement because it's going to be excess. So after that, I cut it out. So you can see it's 4 now. So I got the middle here. This is the middle here. You rule it. When you rule it, at this upper part, you can see the cup that is not straight. You can't just place a straight thing on a curved thing. So you are going to be removing 1 here. And at the down part too, you are going to be removing 1. When you remove it, you connect them to the center. So when you connect it to the center, this is it. You are going to cut it out. So this cup, you can actually round it, or you can do it finish before you cut away the excess. So once you join it, this is how it will be on it. When you join it, the two will come together to cover the cup, because you can't just place a straight thing on a curved one. So this shape will be here. By the time you finish, you see it is here. That's for the cup cover. So for the yoke part of it, for the yoke part, the length is 8, but at the middle it's going to come inside well, because the yoke comes, the corset in the middle comes down. So this is the material for the yoke that we are using a cord net. So my shoulder is 9 plus half to join it, that is 9.5, 9.5. so the neck we are using is 3 because it's a turtleneck. 3 by, so the neck we are going to be using, let's use 2.5 because the neck is a turtleneck that holds the neck well. 2.5 by 3. You have to make it show because this is a black material, that's why it's not showing well. So I create my shoulder slope, and the length is 8, and at the middle I'm going to be coming down by 2, that is I'm using 10 inches. So this is what we are going to be doing. That's the 10 inches here. My hammer, I'm using hammer 8. Please don't put hammer at the upper part before you cut the yoke because the yoke is coming down. The yoke is coming down. So here you are going to shape in it to the hammer and cuff it out. So I'm cutting out the yoke. I told you that the length we need is 8 inches. So this is how we are going to shape it out. So that this is our actual length, but this place is the center front that goes deep more than the normal. So this is the net we are using for the up. The center front comes down. So for the back, so this is the yoke part. This is the front yoke. You can see it. It has a V at the down here. And this is the back yoke. I've used my pattern to cut it on my fabric. This is it. And this for the back pattern. That's for your yoke. So this is the material for the flounce. I've already cut out my sleeve. This is my sleeve and the bending allowance. I've already cut it out so that when I bend it, but I'm going to be placing the flounce on the sleeve. If you look at the style, the flounce is being placed from the sleeve to the neck side. So that's the flounce we are about to cut now. So as we all know that an Ankara is length 45, so I cut the Ankara length, I cut it the same as the width, 45 by 45, and I fold it into 4. I fold it into 4. Here I have 2 inches marked round. I first get my center point because everything has to be equal on both, on the 4 sides. So after then I get my 2 inches radius. You mark it round. Please don't let it be more than 2 inches because the wider here, it will not make the flounce to fall very well. So from here, after the round, because we are going to cut it away, I'm going to be using length 5 because my flounce is 4 inches. So I'm sewing at the up and at the down. I'm using length 5. So from this length 5, you mark it on only one side first. You can see, you can use anywhere out of the 4. Once I mark it, I'm going to be connecting from here. You can use a curved ruler, an hammer ruler, but if you don't have, you can actually use your freehand. That's why I told you I'm teaching you both freehand and curved. You see, you can do it, you can round it by yourself. You connect from here to this place. So after that, you start your measurement. Is that 5 inches? You are going to measure around. You can see the way I'm connecting it. You have to go around. See the way I'm going around. You have to be connecting it all the way as you are going. You see it? And at the mouth, it has an arrow. So you are going to leave that place like that. So this is what we are going to cut out here. So if there is still more allowance, you can cut it, but this one cannot reach. So I'm going to cut it this way. Remember, it has an interfacing. A taffeta material is used to lining it. So this one is just for the bodies. I'm going to cut taffeta to lining it, and I will insert crinoline in it. So you can see our flounce. This is our flounce. So you see it. This is our flounce. So we have cut 4 already. You see it. This is the way it will be placed. So you can actually make this place smoother, so that by the time you want to put it on your fabric. So this is it. So I have 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to be marking the wrong side, and you are going to interface it. You will see all this thing in the next video when we sew it. You see it in the sewing video, but this is the cutting. So this is the end of the cutting. This is the flounce. We are using 2 on both sides. So I've already cut the 4. So if you see that this video is very helpful for you, please feel free to click on the like button and the notification button. You subscribe to our channel so that you can get notification whenever we post a new video. So the next video will be for the sewing. Thank you.
I begin to fall in love.